Hello and welcome to the Reds Report, Barnsley's longest running podcast and probably the most negative one for the longest time running that we've been doing this show. I need to, in advance, apologise if you're watching on YouTube. All I can say is don't get Sky Broadband because it's not very good. I don't have the hotspot from my phone. The best thing is if the picture's not good, close your eyes and listen to Ian's dulcet tones. It'll make it a lot better. Because, of course, he is with us this evening. Ian, how are you?
Fair to medium. Fair to medium. I've got over going to Wigan on Saturday. I've got over
that. Steve is hopefully joining us whenever he is able to, but we'll just make a start anyway. Right. Let's be honest. Let's be frank. Let's be frank because you're Ian and I'm Carlo. But Wigan last week or on Saturday. People, I think, appreciating the honesty that Horahan talks about in his press conferences, reasons why he's not playing players, saying he expects more. And that's great, isn't it? That's good. That's honesty. And you could say maybe we haven't had that for a while. On the pitch, though, Ian, can we say there are some positives with some of the youngsters getting regular football, but overall, we're not going in the right direction, are we?
No, not at all. So I think the best bit about Saturday was probably the pies. They do a quality pie, probably best pie in League One for Wigan. So I think, well, that's the positive. I thought Horahan got it spot on when it was crying out for a second goal. I think we got a second goal. They were the lowest scorers in the league, and you could see why. And up just before the equaliser, I almost texted you guys and said, Flavel's had a good game, which he had. If anybody looks back at the highlights, he made 3 or 4 goal-saving saves, where virtually one-on-one, certainly 2 in the first half, and he saved one right at the end, which would have been their winner. And I thought De Givonnet had a solid game up to that point. He looked better than Roberts. But obviously, we know what happened with the goal. I think you probably blame De Givonnet more. But he'd been solid up to that point. But I did like the changes. I thought Jallo gives them problems. I know there wasn't as much end product, but he gave them problems. But I really liked Bland. I really liked him at Wigan. I thought he was really good. Always wanted the ball, wanted to make things happen. Didn't want to keep going sideways and backwards. So there were some positives. But overall, I think when the goal went in and then their tails went up, and okay, Humphrey's come off the bench and tried to add a spark. There's a lot not right. I think some of those players, I think their probably level is mid-table League One, if we're being honest. Yeah. Confidence is no confidence. There's very little confidence in the side because of the run of results. But Connell, when he come off the bench, he was getting pelters from a lot of the fans in the stand. I think a lot of he's lost a lot of some of the fans this season from his performances. We now know why Phillips hasn't had a game. And to be honest, we didn't look any different. It didn't look any worse without them. I thought Land and playing and McCarley in the middle, we looked better. I didn't think we looked any worse. But yeah, they were the only, like I say, up to the goal. De Givonnet was solid. Flavel, I thought, was pretty solid and probably saved us really. But yeah, there's still a lot wrong, isn't there? As we saw the other night against Exeter.
Yeah, because obviously that performance, that you looked at the lineup and initially, in flashes and short flashes, that pressing from the front, that was there again. Strikers hunting down defenders, forcing them into mistakes. And that's great, isn't it? You can't legislate for, a bit of a blunder, because I'm not saying every team will have them, but we certainly have them every season. I mean, we've
had them all season, haven't we?
But, yeah. I mean, I agree. I think Flavel saved us more. It could have been a lot worse, could it? Because he pulled some top-class saves.
Oh, yeah.
He's a young lad. And if anything is going to help him, it's going to be, a confident, experienced almost back three or back four in front of him, and he probably hasn't got that. With McCarthy on one side, obviously De Gevigné, I mean, I agree. I think he's, and this is where opinions will vary, and it's fine, isn't it? Because it's all about personal opinion. I think overall, I know he's had some clangers, but he's also the defender, is De Gevigné. When he's got space, will make that run forward and will try and put the opposition on the back foot. Don't see that much from the other ones. But then Tuesday night, I mean, the atmosphere was flat. I know they said, I hate it, me, because they say the attendance this evening, there's no way. I could hear people laughing in the Ponty end, and I'm in the West Stand. So, I'd rather them say ticket sales for this evening or whatever, you know what I mean? Or, and it's the same again. Now, I know people will say, De Gevigné, am I right in thinking that we've just gone 2-1 down? We've got a throw in our own defensive half. I initially, and I said it when I was doing the commentary for the hospital and stuff, saying, why is O'Keefe throwing it back when they were all not camping in our area, but they were putting the pressure on a bit? I thought he put De Gevigné on the pressure straight away. Why not throw it to the other side? Why not try and get, the strikers we had on at that time, why not get it over on that side? Is that fair, do you think? Or should De Gevigné have just touched it and hoofed it up?
Yeah, I think, I know what you're saying, that you should be more forward, throw it down the line, but he should still be switched on, shouldn't he? And just in case that ball comes to him, he wasn't under any pressure, really. And it's a big gaff, and he's had 2 in a week now, which, highlights massively. So I think really he still should have been live to it and just play percentages and get it up the pitch. It was no time for faffing around. Just get it up the pitch. Just touching on what you were saying about the crowd. The crowd looked very sparse, didn't it? Yeah. And last I heard, it might have changed now, but I know early on in the week we hadn't sold out at Birmingham, and they had only given us 2,000 tickets, and you'd have thought quite a few people would have fancied that.
Yeah. I've
decided not to. It's a 5-hour round trip for me. It's just painful to watch, isn't it? I went with my lad, and he said after the game coming out at Wigan, he said, I wanted to run on the pitch and get a 3-year banning order so I didn't have to see the Reds for 3 years. And I know that's kind of like a bit of dark humour, but it gets you like that a little bit. And I know, you go through thick and thin and stuff, but it's very difficult at the minute. Despite, Hurricanes doing his best efforts, it's just very difficult, isn't it, to try to come on tonight and try and seek some positives out of what is a season that is just going down the pan rapidly, isn't it? And I even started looking at League Two, some of the clubs in League Two, thinking, in a couple of seasons, what away trips have we got coming up when we go down? But it's difficult, isn't it, to find any sort of positives out of games that would just, because you look at those 4 games that Hurricanes had, and I'm not blaming him, I'm just saying these first 4 games, on paper, I know Exeter are a tough team, but on paper, they're all very winnable games. They've lost to a team in Mansfield that hadn't won in 14.
Yeah.
They lose to Cambridge at home, who look like they're going down. Wigan away, who are the lowest scorers in the league and are below us. And then Exeter at home, which was probably the tougher of the 4, but really winnable. And we've got next to nothing out of those games. So you worry then with Birmingham over the horizon, Bolton over the horizon. I think Leyton Orient are coming up as well. You really fear for the rest of the season, don't you?
Is it? So, we mentioned some players there. I somewhat feel for Horan because he was clearly, not pushed. When you're a coach at the club, you can't say no, is it? When they come knocking and say, want you to take interim charge. Besides making the changes he has, which I thought were ballsy, and I like it, I also thought, did it put a little bit to an end the rumour that, the gaffer don't put the players on, it's somebody from the board that comes in and does the team sheet with Connell and Phillips both not playing. he can't really do much more else. I think he's been candid. He's been open. I'm saying it's not good enough. He's been very open in what he wants from his players. What he did with Phillips, I know they've put that they, because he wasn't even on the bench, they've had a clear the air meeting. He needs to train hard, and he can be involved at Birmingham.
Yeah.
He's inherited, a snowball that's just getting bigger, that's rolling down an hill.
Yeah.
And even Carlo can't stop that, can he?
No, I mean 9 times out of 10, if you take over a club, it's usually because the manager's been sacked because it's gone wrong. Not always that a manager's been poached and everything's rosy in the garden. So he's always going to have that. I like what he's come out and been saying. I like what he's trying to do. I think the players, looking at them, they are trying to play for him. There's nothing wrong with a bit of discipline and punctuality, and ultimately they're representing the club and the town, and they're getting paid by the club, so they should toe the line. The professionals at the end of the day. A slight criticism, and I don't want to overplay this, but I felt on Saturday at Wigan, Ryan Lowe made better substitutions at the right time, and their substitutions worked. Whereas I felt if he left Keeler Dunn was shot in that second half at Wigan, and he should have been pulled off. We needed legs in there earlier, and I just felt that he should have changed it sooner. Whereas Ryan Lowe, maybe with his experience, his subs changed the game. But other than that, I wouldn't be too critical of Hurricane. I like what he's trying to say and what he's trying to do, but ultimately, like you say, he's inherited a bit of a shit show, hasn't he? Really?
Yeah.
Evening, Stephen.
Evening. Sorry about that. My financial advisor, sorting out all my bits and bats and things and stuff, has only just left. But I thought I best jump on just in case our good friend and friend of the show, Adam Proctor, was missing me, because I've not seen him for quite a while. So I'll just give him a little wave.
Yeah, we said in the opening, Steve, we have been negative for quite some time, rightfully so. We've just talked about, you heard it, Conor Horan has essentially inherited a snowball or a shit show that's going downhill really fast. And in an honest way, I like his openness and his honesty. I like the fact that he's left so-called big players out, because they're not big players. They might be inexperienced and on the wage slip, but on the pitch, they are absolutely nothing. There is some positives in one seems to want the ball. Jallo could cause problems. But then again, if you don't give Jallo the ball, he can't do much, can he? Because every time they tried to play the other day and put it high up in the air, that's not going to work, is it? I've
got to be honest with Jallo. I know when he first burst onto the scene, everybody was saying he was the next big thing. And I know he's been out injured for 2 months, 3 months. But at minute, I'm only being honest. He looks a stone overweight. He looks slow. He looks lazy, and I just wish he'd get out of this idea that he can throw himself to the floor every time anybody goes near him, because he's it's not Premiership. You're not going to get fouls just for somebody running up behind you and breathing down your neck. So I'll be honest, I've been a bit disappointed with him. I know he's back and it's early days, but I just don't know. I'm not quite convinced at the minute. But he's only a young lad, so
yeah. And I think the problem is there was so much hype about him that we're desperately looking for a messiah, but he is not the finished product.
Not by a long way.
That was his first league start. Was it this? Extra? Was it did he start at Wigan or did he come on? I can't remember.
Would you say he's out of position? Because
what is his position? What is his position?
That's it. Because I was trying to think. Was he out wide? They did move about a bit. He did move him around during the Wigan game, and it kind of he went central at one point. But he always seemed to be picking up the ball more wider and running at playing.
Was he not before he got his injury? Would you not have classed him as a winger, as such, a wide player? Because he did have a bit of pace to him.
Yeah.
It's only now that he's come back, and perhaps because he is carrying a bit more weight. He's still, light-footed, You know, he can turn a defender and what have you. But you
just need a bit of end product, don't we? We need end product.
We need end product from them all, mate. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I know you said you were talking about Connor earlier on. Personally, it wouldn't surprise me if Connor gets job because it's cheap option.
Yeah.
Don't matter who gets manager's job, whether it's Connor, whether it's some foreign guy, or whether it were Mourinho. They're still playing with they've still got same players to deal with. And I think apart from board and coaching and academy, and I know what else you can think on, 50% of problem is players. Some of them players just are not good enough.
Is it, do you think, because we've mentioned Phillips a lot, we've mentioned Connell a lot. Another one that came in, I mean, in fairness, in the West End, there are some individuals, I mean, they don't hold back because there's the shout loud enough, they clearly hear it on the bench as well. De Gevigné came under a lot of, abuse, I don't want to call it, but some remarks.
How can you abuse him? He's been one of the best, most consistent players we've had all season. Admittedly, he's made 2 particularly big risks in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, all right, have a bit of a go. Fair enough. I get that because it's more disappointing than all else.
Well, it's like I was saying, Steve, earlier, on Saturday, he were pretty. I was going to message you, Bob, and say, like, the keeper had a good game. He'd made 3 or 4 proper saves that on another day they'd gone in. And he was solid, and he was confident with stuff. And De Gevigné was solid. And then he goes and does that. And yes, rightly so, he deserves the criticism. He's the experienced one. He should have dealt with that at Wigan and he should have cleared it. He shouldn't have left the keeper looking exposed.
Correct. Yeah, should have been Rosette, definitely.
But you know, you can't then ruin the lad for a season where he's been a solid, 7 out of 10 every game kind of thing. He looked a lot more assured than Roberts did on Saturday.
And and I think if you ask 100 Barnsley fans from all the players we've used this season, put your best 11 out, I reckon that 95% would have De Gevigné at the back somewhere.
You've got to do.
You know what I mean?
About that.
You know, I think Early's
I'd have him in over Pines every time.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Another one that came under some criticism with some very funny remarks from the West End was Jonathan Russell. And I know we've mentioned him before. You know when you struggle.
Is there a footballer in there?
Things are not going well.
I don't see what some people see. I get slagged off uphill and down Dale on Twitter for having a go at Russell. And I'm sure he's a lovely bloke and he's good to his mother and all this sort of thing. But he's not a footballer. He's not a footballer. Come on, he's slow. It takes him an hour to turn round. He has odd, decent touch, but you don't cut it on your left foot and try and curl it in top corner when you haven't got a left foot. And that's what he did. But he chases shadows. And if you actually watch him and not watch ball, and you actually watch him playing, there's a lot of time you'll see him. He actually runs behind one of opposing players as though he's wanting ball. But if I run behind this player, they'll not pass it to me because there's a player in between. It's as though I don't know. Some people will say I'm talking bollocks, but there ain't a player there. There ain't a player there. He's cost us more points this season. Him and a few others just by being poor. The problem is we've got poor players.
Yeah.
So again, you come back to, don't matter who you have in charge, if you're not improving your squad, there's only one way to go, and we know which way that is.
Yeah.
You mentioned him earlier, Ian. Stephen Humphrey's getting a goal. A good goal because it showed what Barnsley are on it, you know. And it's again, I know we're repeating every week, and I am sorry. But it shows you what a bit of pace does, because when Keeler got the ball and just kept going, and then, you know, the overlap, he was there. First of all, great. No, decision I can't even say, but clearly not selfish and thinking, I'm going to have a goal because Humphreys was in the perfect position. He got repaid, didn't he? Because he came on at Wigan, Ian. You know, obviously it's his former team, so he wants to impress. and you know, the Watters Humphreys debate, two completely different players, but good to see him get a goal and getting his reward for the work that he is doing off the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that, and it sends a message to the squad, doesn't it? The whole squad, not just the 11, that if you know, not just training, but if you come off the bench and do it, you know, and can try and change a game, then you'll probably get the shirt on Saturday. So there's the incentive. I was surprised he didn't start against Wigan, being given that he plays for them, was their top scorer last season. I thought he'd have had a point to prove. So I was surprised Watters got the nod ahead of him, to be honest. But anyway, that's what the manager gets paid to do. But yeah, he did. He certainly tried at Wigan, and then obviously a great finish for that. I mean, it was a great counter-attacking move anyway. Won it the goal against Exeter, but it was a lovely finish. And he should have had that other one, wasn't he? Not long after that was it cleared off the line or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd like to think he'll start on Saturday at Birmingham.
Well, that's obviously the last bit of the show. Whilst things are not going great and we can't scrape a win from anywhere, why not go to the league leaders that are absolutely running away with it? Somebody said to me as we were leaving, but you see, it wouldn't be unlike Barnsley to come away with a draw. I mean, yeah. Birmingham have dropped a couple of points against teams that, you know, weren't in a great run of form. We know Barnsley won't sit back and defend. You know, we will have a go and maybe against historically over the past few seasons, we tend to play better against teams that play football rather than, because it's very hard for us to break teams down, isn't it? Like you saw that with Exeter, they loved having possession and they weren't necessarily dangerous with it. We just couldn't get it off them. Of the team that started, and I can name them if you want, who keeps their place, Steve?
Keeper.
Level in goal, because, well, there's
Definitely.
Nobody else. Three, Vignier, Roberts, McCarthy.
Well, if that's your choice of centre halves and there's nobody else fit or coming back from injury, well, that's your three, isn't it? It won't be my choice, but there you go.
The midfield started as Bland on one side, O'Keefe on the other, John Russell and Wakali.
I'm guessing Gent and Ferrugia have done for the rest of the season, have they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I think there's talk of Earl. I don't know if he's one of the closest to come back. So whether Earl will get the nod ahead and he might take Dejivne out the firing line, I don't know. But generally, like you say, it's going to stay as it is. I'd like to see Enwakali in there because he's probably the only one who's actually got a decent touch. And apart from Keeler Dunn, he's the only one who actually looks skillful on a football with a football at his feet.
Yeah. I think O'Keefe on left hand side is definitely not working. I mean, O'Keefe on right hand side don't work for me, but he loses ball too much. He pushes forward. They try to emulate the Man City John Stones moving into midfield and creating a more bodies in midfield. We can't play that. We can't play that sort of football. We looked a lot better when we went to a flat back four. Yeah. Whether it were 4-4-2, 4-3-3, or whatever it was, I think we ought to stick with that. O'Keefe's best are a bad bunch at minute, because obviously Cotter's done. That kid from Wolves is shocking.
Well, that was my next question because he was on the bench again.
Best place for him. Leave him there.
But it's a sign again, isn't it? Of a loan signing. That's what Clement Rodriguez came on the 91st minute with 4 minutes to go.
What's he going to do? What's he going to do in 4 minutes? Do you know what I mean? Why bother signing him? If you're only going to give 4 minutes, it's a waste of time.
Some of our loans just in the last 12 months have been really, really
panic loans.
I mean, you look at Matty Craig didn't do it. Come with a big sort of reputation after what he did at Donny. You know, I know
that Herbie Kane.
Hey,
Weren't that Herbie Kane? And we paid for him. Anyway, let's not go back over old wounds.
But yeah, I think the loans have backfired, and yet going back a couple of seasons before that, we've done quite well with loans. But recently, I mean, I know the keeper went back to Chelsea. Was it? He was injured, but quite a few just haven't worked.
Yes, the Villa keeper got injured, so he's rehabbing there.
Thing is, though, you look at that Lewis, this American bloke. supposed to be really quick, nippy winger, etc., which you'd think would suit a 4-4-2, 4-3-3, whatever. But we don't. And it's only cost Jed, my mate, up at Gober Tap, well, the pubs aren't available, but it's a lot better up there. Get up there. He said something on last night, and I have to agree with him. We try and play a lot of tippy-tappy football to feet, which we can't do because we're not good enough. We've seemed to moved away from trying to play ball into space because you've got a bit of pace with Humphreys. You've apparently got a lot of pace with this Lewis. We're not playing the ball forward into any sort of space. I mean, we don't play it ball forward from midfield anyway for the last few games. It's been shocking. But we don't seem to play space anymore. We play to feet. So you're not getting that burst of speed. You're not getting somebody running into space to chase a ball down. I had to agree with him. I remember last time I saw somebody play a decent through ball that somebody could run onto. Oh, that's gone dead, hasn't it? That's shot short of shit straight away. Anyway, thanks for coming.
We talked about if you talked about John Russell earlier. Russell or Connell? If you're going to make that decision,
I just do not like this playing both of them. This because the two defensive midfielders. Yeah. Surely one sitting in front of the back 3 or 4 is enough. And
Carlo actually weren't too bad on Tuesday when he came on that second half. I didn't think. I thought
I wouldn't play both. The two similar.
I won't play Russell. I won't play Russell. Russell would not get a shirt again for me, but it's not up to me, obviously. But I just don't see it. I really do not see what he brings to that team. Somebody can tell me. I know somebody's going to say, "Oh, it's his holding at ball, or it's his holding it up, or he's a tall lad and he wins an header." No, he doesn't. He's about 6'2". When he jumps, he's 4'6". He don't win headers.
The front line was Jallow, Humphreys, and Keeler Dunn, with Jallow and Keeler Dunn on sort of like on the outside, Humphreys down the middle. I mean, at the beginning of the season, you would have looked at that and thought, that's not bad, is it? There's goals there. You would have thought, we know there's not, except for Keeler Dunn. Back into the debate, does Waters play a part on Saturday? Does Jonathan Lewis play a part? Is Clement Rodriguez going to surprise us all? And get, do you stick with the 3 you've got, or
don't make any difference? Don't make any difference. If you're not going to get any service from midfield, you can be. I've said it before. You can be Cristiano Ronaldo up front. If you're not getting any balls from midfield, or you're not getting a good pass into feet or whatever, or something to run onto, you're not going to score.
No.
And it's no good knocking bloody eyeballs up to Jallow because I don't know how tall Jallow is. He don't look very tall.
No, he's not very tall. I mean,
he's like an hobbit.
Solidly built, but he's not. But it's pace again, isn't it?
What pace? What pace are we talking about here? Because apart from Lewis, who I've not seen run yet, Humphreys has got a bit of pace. I haven't seen it. I don't see any pace in our team at all.
No, I think Jallow is not. He's match fit, but not match sharp as yet.
Match bad.
I do think there's far more to come. I genuinely do. But do you keep him in the side because it's minutes he needs? He'll only get better if he plays. He'll not get better sitting on the bench and coming on for 5 minutes. So do you say we might have a top 4 squad, but we're not going to finish in the top 10? So we
said that about Cosgrove.
Play him and get him used to it.
Didn't we say that about Cosgrove? He scored a load of goals last season. He kept coming on for the last 5-10 minutes. Then we buggered him off on loan.
Well, Cosgrove, in fairness, if you ask people about Cosgrove last season, they'll talk about the Bolton matches, don't they? Because he changed them for us, and he looked a world beater, and then it just all went to pot yet again.
It's all gone to pot. Everything's gone to pot.
So what's going to happen? Are we going to pot on Saturday then, Steve? Or what are we expect? We know, listen, it's league leaders. They played 2 matches less than us, and the streets ahead on the public breaker record for this league, and they deserve to go up. They've also made some signings that probably you could pay the Barnsley squad for the next 3 years, but it is what it is, and you have to play the teams that are in this division. Is it going to be? we'll go around the clock. But is it going to be a whitewash, do you think? Can we give them a game? They play football. You know, they're not going to sit back. They are at home. We are away. How do you see this one going? We'll go with Ian first. How's this one going? Tell us, son.
Well, I've gone 4-0 home win. I just think
don't beat about bush, lad, will you? Spain in with knife.
No, I tell you, if Wigan, how we didn't go, you know, they are crap. They are poor, and we just sleptwalked into that 1-1. I just can't see how we're going to score more than one goal against Birmingham. Their tails are up. I just think it's hiding to nothing. Having said that, my lad says it's just prime Barnsley to go and like defend for 90 minutes and get a 1-1, a spawny 1-1 out of it or something like that. But I just can't. We can't keep clean sheets. We don't score many goals.
No.
It'd have to be something bolt out the blue on Saturday. I just can't see it. I just think it'd be 3 or 4-0. I really do. I've not seen any evidence over the last few games that we are capable of going there and going toe to toe with them. I'm sorry, but I can't see it.
And Steve, when I get to you, if people can't perform to their best ability on Saturday at Birmingham, big club, big following, big crowd, if you can't do it here, you got to question: is this, you know, should you be playing in the team anyway? So nobody's hiding. How do you see this?
You know what, mate? Yeah, if you can't get your set up for Birmingham, I totally agree. But how many times have we said this over last quite a few games? Huddersfield game. If they can't get themselves up for Huddersfield game, there's something wrong. Well, there's something wrong because they didn't.
Yeah.
So, you know, however many games it is down line, it's not a case of if they can't get themselves up for Birmingham game, they can't get themselves up full stop. They'd need a lorry load of Viagra to get out, even semi up. Near mind hotels. I just think previously with Barnsley teams, historically we have played better against the better teams. And you say, you know what, I won't necessarily bet against a good Barnsley side, going to Birmingham in this form and getting something.
That's the key.
This is not a good Barnsley side. This is probably worst team we've had for quite some time. And I've got to agree with Ian. I just hope it's not humiliating. That's what I hope. You know, 2-3-0, fair enough. I'll take that. I'll take that now. But I just hope it's not a silly cricket score, because then the 2 or 3 decent players that we have got, it'll just finish them off. It'll just finish them off, and then you might as well not bother with rest of matches.
It's bad, isn't it? Because you got to feel, well, this is his job. You got to feel the kind of Horahan with what he's inherited, and there's no doubt
he's been dealt an absolutely shit hand.
There's no doubt.
Let's face it,
there's no doubt he's trying, but you can only do so much. Yeah, I mean, I said 3-1 because it's my favourite score to Birmingham, by the way, before.
Devante Cole.
Yeah,
more chance for him scoring than Watters.
I just, you know, but it is in it, and you're going into that Easter period. We said before, and there's some. The last 4 matches, all been teams below us, and you're sort of seeing it as an opportunity to maybe get some points on the board, get a bit of confidence going, get a bit of a rhythm going. Barnsley this season, if you look at results, it's always been clusters of win, 2 here and then a couple of losses and draws, and then we hit the 4 and then he goals again. But now it's all either, you know, losses or draws.
You'd like to think that last few games that we're not doing out now. We're not going anywhere now. You'd like to think last few games it'd give opportunity to get rid of some at Deadwood that everybody wants to get shut of, and bring some at kids back in just to blood them ready for next season. But you don't even see any at youth, any at young lads coming through. You know, Younger Nathan's gone out on loan. We've not seen nothing of Chapman all season, and he looked tidy. You know, there's some good young players somewhere that are not getting a look in. But you've got to question now that production line. we used to be bringing really good young players through quite regularly. Whereas now, even that's gone to shit. What's going off with academy? It's all the way through. It is all the way through.
Well, it's
anyway. Cheer yourselves up, boys and girls.
if you looked at that, 13, 14, 15 players, you could argue you could probably won't get rid of 2/3 of it, wouldn't you?
Easily.
That's the.
Easily.
I mean, I know we'll probably talk about this come the end of the season, but for me, we've not signed it. Not apart from Keeler Dunn, we've struggled with strikers recently. Ollie Shaw was forever out on loan. Dallas, Andy Dallas was another. Waters hasn't done it. Cosgrove hasn't done it. Humphreys in parts. Some of the recruitment has been awful. And how are we ever going to ship some of these players out? But then who's coming in? If Connell and Phillips walk and we sell them for a little bit of money, I've no confidence in the recruitment of who's going to come in. Fresh blood. It's just going to be players who are probably mid-table League One at best. That's the problem. You were saying about, blood some of the young guns and then get some good signings. You can get 4 or 5 good signings in and clear some of the deadwood out. But I've no confidence that they will get the right signings in that would, with the right manager, we could go fresh and build something again next season. I just see journeymen or people from America or Ireland on the cheap coming in, replacing Connell and Phillips, and the standard drops again. And before you know it, you are down at the bottom of League One, aren't you?
Yeah. We've been talking about building for the last 2 or 3 seasons, haven't we?
Well,
I don't know what they're building. Maybe it's fan zone. Maybe it's some new toilets right back. But we're not building a team.
No, and at the end of every season, and I know they're saying it's the model and they're struggling and blah blah blah, but the foundations are ripped away by sacking of coaches. The best players go. I know they're saying it's reinvested. It's reinvested in wages with a 4-year contract, and instead of doing, buying a player like DKD that came with a price tag, but it's sort of, I can't say repaid it, but he was worth it. And too much money for me has been spent on players like, I like Lopata. When I saw him that season, I thought, great defender him, he'll be all right. He's been on loan for 2 seasons. You mentioned Dallas, you mentioned Shaw. We brought Shepherd in. He's player of the league, League 2, I believe, at Bradford at the moment. I mean, okay, he's to come back. That's really good. But
he'll not come back. I'll tell you now, he'll not come back. Shepherd won't come back because he's one of the only things we can sell that'll make any bloody money.
Yeah. Like Benson, he's injured more than he plays. It just needs a proper clear out, which is fine if clubs will take our players. But I've not got the confidence that they'll come in and go, right, well, we're identifying a good quality centre-half, a good quality goalkeeper, an attacking midfielder that has great assists, this striker. You know what I mean? I just don't see anybody at the club capable of picking, with the exception, like I said, the odd signing. Generally, the loans have failed, and a lot of the signings have not.
You need to have a word with your mate Adam Oxley, Carlo. Idea for a new BBC programme: Players Under the Hammer, and see what you can get for them. We'll get 2 teams
going on at Oatwell.
Yeah, we'll get 2 teams running around dressing room, and they've got 86 quid to spend, and they can have 3 players, and see who gets most money. There you are. Adam will be all over that. I'm telling you, he'll love that.
I've not seen when I've been over. I've not seen Nirav in the director's books for quite some time. But one very, very angry gentleman in the West Lower on Tuesday night turned around to John Flatman, and Gene Crine was there. There was some other people there, and he said that he says there's fucking 4 minutes to go, and I'm praying for fucking draw against Exeter. That's our fucking life right now. And I thought, he's right, they're winning. Years ago, came, even if they're difficult to break down or whatever, but everybody that was left inside Oakwell were praying we would get another opportunity to get a draw against Exeter. And that's who we are. And there is no getting away. And the only reason is because on the pitch, we either not performing to the level we can, or the players we bought are way below the expected level to be involved with any playoff challenge. And therefore we are where the statistics say we should be finishing because of the goal against, the goal scored, and that's it. But at least we've got a good game to look forward against Birmingham. You know, there will be goals. I agree with what you both said. I don't want it to be a whitewash. Flavel is maybe just getting a little bit of confidence. And if there's one lad you don't want it to happen to, because he's been through the academy from, I believe, under 10s, under 11, he's made some fantastic saves. There's been a couple of issues with our defence. I just hope that he can come off the pitch with his head held high. There is other players that we should be looking at, which we might do next week when we discuss the 7-0 loss against Birmingham. You never know, though. There might be 7 goals and it could be a 4-3.
Wow. At least sun's shining. That's cheered everybody up. Forget football. Yeah. Summer's coming.
Yeah, football's overrated.
Yeah, it is. Waste of time. Play golf instead. It's a lot better game.
Yeah, somebody's been golfing. Lads, thank you very much. We'll speak again next week. Enjoy your Saturday, whatever you're doing. I've got a 1 square metre piece of grass that I think I'm going to mow the lawn around 3 o'clock because I don't need any more stress in my life right now. We'll be back next week with the Reds Report. If you're going down to Birmingham, by all means, cheer them on, give them the encouragement, and don't be disheartened. We'll soon be at home again. You know, home or away, we'll lose anyway. You've been listening to the Reds Report. Until next week.